Great Start Compensation Support Application Process, tailored for licensed center providers. By the end of the course, providers should be able to find the application in the Great Start Compensation Support tab of the Provider Hub and understand if the application period is open and if you're eligible to apply. And complete the steps in the Great Start Compensation Support application. Don't worry, we'll go through each step one by one. As we continue through the training, it's important to note that some of the screens may look slightly different in the system than shown in screenshots or in this video. That is because feedback is constantly being incorporated and will be reflected in the system. With that, let's get started. Each month, the Great Start Compensation Support Funding period is open from the 10th to the 23rd of that month. You'll be able to find the application and see if you're eligible to apply for Great Start Compensation Support Funding. To begin the application process, first log into the Provider Hub by navigating to providerhub.dhs.mn.gov. Use your individual user information to log in. Once you've logged in, you will be on the Provider Hub homepage. From there, select the Great Start Compensation tab at the top of the site. We're pleased to provide you with assistance available in English, Spanish, Somali, and Hmong. To locate applications, scroll down to the page. You will see a button if you are eligible. Here it says Continue Application, but it may also say Apply Now or Update Application. Intent to apply. The application has a tool to show you which step you are on so that you'll always be able to navigate quickly. This tool, called a stepper, steps you through the process and will always be on the application on the far right side of the page. The step that you are on will be in bold text, and the steps you've completed will have a filled-in green circle. The first step in the application is confirming your intent to apply for Great Start Compensation Support. First, review the application details for accuracy. Details include license number, program name, physical address, funding period name, funding period start and end date. Select yes or no, depending on your answer, if you intend to apply for Great Start Compensation Support funding. If you select no, add additional criteria for the reason you're not applying. We sure hope you select yes in that you intend to apply and select next to move forward in the application. If you want to save your progress and continue the application at a later date, select Save for Later. Demographic information. You'll notice that the stepper has a filled-in green circle next to Intent to Apply, and the demographic information is now bolded. The second step of the process is filling out demographic information. It's important to note that you will not be asked to fill out demographic information every time you apply, rather at specific intervals depending on your license type. For licensed providers, you'll enter this information quarterly. Select one or more of the demographic categories to best describe the authorized agent. Options include American Indian or Alaska Native, Asian, Black or African American, Hispanic or Latino, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, white, or prefer not to answer. If you want to save your progress and continue the application at a later time, select Save for Later. If you would like to move to the previous question, select Previous. You can confirm where you are in the process by looking at the stepper. Here you'll see that your bolded text is an intent to apply, meaning that's where you are. You can move back to your question, but note that all of the information you've previously entered is still there, eliminating the need for rework. If you intend to move to the next step in the application, select Next. Enrollment and attendance information. Next, we move on to enrollment and attendance data. Enter a number in each age group for the estimated enrollment numbers by age group in a typical week. If you do not serve an age group, just leave that section blank. Age groups include infants, toddlers, preschoolers, and school-age children. Note that the total enrolled children will automatically calculate based on your age group answers. Then answer what your program's highest attendance was on a single day during the funding period. If you intend to move forward with the application, select Next. If you would like to move to the previous question, select Previous. And if you'd like to save your progress and continue the application at a later date, select Save for Later. If you do not meet the minimum number of children to be eligible for Great Start compensation support, you will receive this error message and be prompted to return to the previous page to make updates. Attendance eligibility. Moving along in the process, we get to attendance eligibility. This asks for the number of days you cared for a specific number of children based on your license type. For licensed providers, it's at least 15 children. Enter a number stating how many days within the previous month you cared for 15 children, at least on a single day. If you intend to move to the next step in the application, select Next. If you'd like to move to the previous question, select Previous. And if you'd like to save your progress and continue the application at a later time, select Save for Later. Adding personnel hours. Personnel hours are entered to calculate how many full-time equivalent personnel are at the child care program. If you have already entered your personnel list in the Provider Hub in support of licensing or certification, you're all set. You can enter the hours person by person or in bulk format. We will walk you through both ways. The personnel you have entered in the Provider Hub will show up as a name card. You'll scroll down and be able to identify which personnel you'd like to add hours to. Identify the personnel resource to add personnel hours to and click on their personnel card. Enter the number of hours spent caring for children the resource completed in the previous month. Then select Submit. You'll now notice that the hours have been updated to reflect 1 FTE, and the gray box at the bottom dynamically updates to show you the cumulative amount of FTEs your program has accomplished. You'll notice since adding Rose and Dorothy, now we have 2.09 total FTEs. Say you have many members of your team that need their hours caring for children information entered for your Great Start compensation support application. This is the process for you. Using the bulk upload template, you'll be able to download a template that will pre-populate all of the existing personnel on your business license. You then can add the hours associated with each listed personnel save, and re-upload. This is especially helpful for organizations that have many team members. Please note that when you add personnel to the template supporting the completion of the Great Start Compensation Support application, you will not be adding these personnel members onto your business license. To upload bulk personnel hours, scroll down and select Download Template. An Excel spreadsheet will download. It'll often be in the upper right-hand corner. Select Open File. A new file will open with a semi-pre-populated Excel spreadsheet. The existing personnel you have will be pulled into the spreadsheet, as well as their associated hours spent caring for children. It's important to note that you cannot change the file components when you're creating. That means do not add a new column and only enter information in hours spent caring for children. Then save the file after you've completed adding your personnel. Close or minimize and bring the application back up. Select Upload Files and locate where you saved your template. It may be in your Downloads folder. Select Open. And now all the personnel and associated hours have been added to your Great Start Compensation Support application. If you haven't added the personnel you need to enter hours caring for children, you can navigate to your business license straight from the application, so you can quickly get to the right place for the job. To do this from the application, scroll down and select the blue clickable link that says Navigate to Program. When looking at your program information, select the Personnel tab at the top of the page. In the lower right-hand corner, scroll down and select Add Personnel. Enter all available information, noting in particular first and last name, as well as requested role. Select Submit, and your new personnel will have been added to your business. Add as many personnel team members as you need to make sure that they are listed against your business so you can add associated hours spent caring for children. Note that while we may need limited information for the Great Start Compensation Support application, licensing and other factors within the Provider Hub will require more information per personnel. Navigate back to the Great Start Compensation tab. Select Continue Application and breeze through all of your completed steps. Note that all of your information has saved. You do not need to re-enter. And once you've landed back in your personnel hours section, you're able to update the folks using the previous process. Select their name card, enter the hours they've spent caring for children in the previous month, and select Submit. Your total FTE will then reflect all of the personnel that you've entered. Select Next to move forward in the process, Previous to move to the previous step, or Save for later to return at a later date. Personnel and operating expenses. You will now be prompted to enter in your total personnel and operation expenses. Enter the dollar amount in a numerical format for your child care program's personnel expenses, also known as payroll, during the funding period. Enter the dollar amount, also in a numerical format, for your child care program's total operating expenses. Think of that as all other costs of running your business during the specific funding period. An example of operating expenses is listed below the field in case you need a reminder. If you intend to move to the next step in the application, select Next. If you'd like to move to the previous question, select Previous. And to revisit your application at a later time, select Save for Later. Accept payment. Read through the requirements and ensure that you meet the minimum attendance value, the license status, and the funding period. Note that the minimum attendance value will vary based on your license type. Select Yes if you agree that you meet the requirements. If you select No, that you disagree you meet the requirements, then you'll be shown a dollar amount of 0. We sure hope you select Yes and can move on to the next step in the application by selecting Next. If you'd like to move to the previous question, select Previous. And if you want to save your progress and continue the application at a later date, select Save for Later. Payment distribution. Review the authorized agent name, program name, address, and payment method for accuracy. If you need support updating your supplier ID, please reference the knowledge article. If you do not have direct deposit set up, the listed address is where the check will be mailed. For more information about how to set up direct deposit, please reference the associated knowledge article. Select I agree if the information is correct. If you'd like to move to the previous question, select Previous. And if you want to save your progress and continue the application at a later date, select Save for Later. Duration of funding and attestation. Carefully read and review the duration of funding and attestation statement. Ensure that your program was operational and serving children during the funding period, and that your program agrees to the listed criteria. Select I agree if you agree with the statement and would like to move forward with the process. If you would like to move to the previous question, select Previous. And if you would like to save your progress and continue the application at a later date, select Save for Later. Data sharing. Review the data sharing statement. Select I agree if you understand that the information you submit for this application is now considered public, unless it would violate the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act. If you'd like to move to the previous question, select Previous. If you want to save your progress and continue the application at a later date, select Save for Later. Submit application. In the electronic signature box, type your legal name. Select Submit Application to submit your Great Start Compensation Support Payment application. If you would like to move to the previous question, select Previous. If you'd like to save your progress and continue the application later, select Save for Later. Once you submit, you will be notified if you are eligible or ineligible approximately 1 week after the funding period ends. If you would like to review your submitted application, select Return to Application. If you would like to go back to the Great Start Compensation Support page, select Go to Great Start Compensation. With that, we've walked through the Great Start Compensation Support application process. Thank you for joining, and thank you for all of the hard work you do for the children of Minnesota.